So this is horrifying. And again, I'll have Nicole come in a moment to talk about it, because it was a case and a story that she and Dory, before Dory passed away, talked quite a bit about. So back in 1980, there was a horrific triple murder, but it would have been the murder of 5 people had the killer been successful. So a man named Timothy Pauley and another individual he was with went into, and again, this is 1980. So it was at the Barn Door Tavern. And a man named Lauren Dowell, who was there, his coworker Bob Pierre, they were robbed. They were tied up in the walk-in cooler. This is in SeaTac at Barn Door Tavern, again, 1980. Both of them were shot in the back of the head. And then also the killers tried to hang the others who were in there and succeeded in hanging and killing Bob Pierre's girlfriend, Linda Burford. And then Lauren's wife, Margaret, and a cook there, Sherry Beckham, managed to survive. And I mean, just horrible details, like stripped naked, tortured, tied with electrical cords, and then left for dead in the restroom by Pauley and Pauley's accomplice, Scott Smith. So that's the crime, right? That's as heinous gets. So there have been a couple times over the last decade that Timothy Pauley has tried to get early release. So back in 2016, Timothy Pauley had asked for early release. And actually at the time, and think about how disconnected this is from where we are today. So the state's Indeterminate Sentencing Review Board at the time had actually said, not only are we not going to let you out early, but you have to serve 2 additional decades, because the parole board at the time decided that his original sentence was too lax. Think about that. That's only in 2016. That's less than 10 years ago. He comes to them asking for parole, and they give him 2 additional decades. Well, then you fast forward to 2022, and there was another request from Timothy Pauley and his defense team to get out of prison. And of course, Governor Jay Inslee was in office. And at the time, the parole board, in essence, in Washington state granted it. And they said that Timothy Pauley could get out of prison early. And there was this immense backlash. A lot of it led by Dory Monson and Lauren's family. His daughters, Angie and Kelly, were really outspoken. And there was enough pressure on Governor Inslee where when that order came to his desk, he denied it. This is just in 2022, and he decided to keep Timothy Pauley in prison. So this is what we find out last night, that Governor Inslee, on his way out the door, rescinded that denial. He issued an order basically saying that, here's the decision he made in 2022. And then he put in here, his rationale. I guess I'll read it for you. It says, the May 2022 cancellation order I issued explained my deep concern that Mr. Pauley failed to affirmatively demonstrate both a full acceptance of his responsibility and remorse for the crimes he committed in 1980. Since that time, Mr. Pauley has engaged in extensive work to address my concerns, and I am satisfied that there is now adequate evidence of his full acceptance and remorse. Yeah, right. It says, accordingly, I rescind my cancellation order dated May 18th, 2022, and reinstate the Indeterminate Sentencing Review Board's decision to grant parole release to Mr. Timothy Pauley, as written in their April 4th, 2022 decision, and reasons. Consequently, I remand this matter to the ISRB to complete release proceedings in this matter. Now, we're told as of today, Timothy Pauley is not out yet, but his release is imminent. Obviously, the family of his victims are incredibly distraught. And Nicole, can we share the news about Margaret? Is that okay?
I think so.
So as we said, Lauren's wife, Margaret, survived this attack and lived, with the horror of what happened to them that day and what happened to her that day and the loss of her husband when they had children, and then had to relive it every time that Timothy Pauley would come to the Indeterminate Sentencing Review Board and ask for release, had to relive it in 2016, had to relive it and fight in 2022 when the board granted him release and finally, Inslee denied it. So we were told by Lauren's daughters that Margaret died. Margaret has passed away. And she died a day before the family found out that Timothy Pauley is going to be released.
Well, I think they found out that he was going to be released
the day before she was
buried. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just horrible. And I don't know if they ended up telling Margaret, if she knew when she passed away.
I believe she passed away already. So
it's just horrible for that family. And I mean, they're obviously really distraught. So now they're dealing with the imminent release of Timothy Pauley. And here's Jay Inslee. He gets to play kind of hero, denying the board's order. And then on his way out the door, what reason is there, may I ask? What reason would there ever be to grant early release to someone who murdered 3 people in the most heinous fashion and tried to kill 2 more. I mean, stripped the women naked, tortured them, tied them up, killed one of them by hanging, put the 2 men in a freezer, shot them in the back of the head. What reason in the world would there ever be to grant an individual like that early release and to do it? The big middle finger on your way out the door. And our understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the one who spoke to the family this morning, is that Inslee did not consult with them.
Nope.
There was no call from the governor saying, hey, I've reconsidered my 2022 order and we're going to let him out. Don't you think that would be at the bare minimum what having a conscience would demand of you?
And they have met with Inslee multiple times, I believe. So they had had a relationship with him. And when they announced this in 2022, we were very thankful.
They were
very complimentary of Inslee, and the family didn't want to say a lot of negative because they felt heard by him. And just to do this on your way out the door without even telling them, it's so evil.
No conscience, no soul, no remorse, nothing. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And I can't imagine being in that position. And this happens more and more to crime victims where, you think there's finality for you in terms of, you're always living with this, I imagine, but you think that, okay, this person is going to be in prison probably until he dies because, of old age or whatever it is. And then it's like, you never get finality.
Constant re-victimization,
100% every single time. And even more so when they don't tell you. How could you not have even an ounce of not remorse, I guess, for the governor, but humanity to just pick up the phone and own that decision. Own that decision. You have a lot of power as governor. In cases like these, with a flick of your pen, you can let someone who did something so heinous out of prison. How could you not have an ounce of humanity to call the family personally and tell them what you're going to do? I already knew Jay Inslee was a bad person, but that just cements it for me. Absolutely disgusting.
If you truly believe he is rehabilitated and is safe for the public to be around, then call the family and put them at ease. Right. Why are you hiding it? Why are you not willing to tell them all the things that you think he's accomplished in prison?
Right.
I don't believe that at all.
Who's going to hold him accountable? He's out the door, right? So it's the last flick of the pen out the door, screw this family. And then their mom dies. And, I can't even imagine what they're going through right now. So absolutely. Think about the families and hold them in your thoughts and prayers because no one in the state government is thinking about them. Governor Inslee, as he's off probably jetting to some climate conference somewhere, isn't thinking about them. So just horrible, horrible news. Was devastated to hear that. I know, Nicole, you and Dory fought so hard against that, and Dory would have been devastated to hear this as well. So absolutely just atrocious.